Okay, I guess we are live and I should really move the camera. I don't know where to put it. Okay, send little message to say that we are live to everyone, and hello everyone if there's anyone around. Actually, that would be surprising considering we just started the stream, but I'll be streaming for a little while to do work on audio in Godot 3.1. So that's one of the topics I wanted to cover for the course, but there are important improvements in the new version of the engine that, like, they kind of changed the workflow, so they would make videos made in Godot 3.0 not completely obsolete, but still you would have to cover the new workflow twice. So today I'm going to work on that. Let's check that everything's working. Is there anyone around in the chat? No, not yet. Ah, that's fine. It's Sunday morning after all. In Japan, meaning night in the US and all. All right. Let's get started on that. So, we're going to have some audio work in there, meaning I have to grab a VLC. I'm going to pause it for a second. I have an audio folder with a few sound effects I just prepared right before the stream. So you can always double click any audio resource, a WAV file or an OGG file, and play it in the inspector to get some feedback. I can't hear anything, by the way, because, well, my speakers are off. There we go. So I've got a few menu items, few steps as well. Well, nothing too fancy. A music as well as soundtrack had been working on for a past game. There you go. And we're going to integrate that in a game demo. The most important part, the first step, is attaching steps to a character. And Godot 3, it's a bit of a pain. You've got to create some animation on your character. So let me open the player scene here. So you'd have to use, well, you'd want to use an animation player, and you'd also want to use an audio stream player, which is the base node to play audio. If it's attached to the player and you always want it to play at the same level, or everything that has to do with GUI, you want to use that audio stream player. And you can use audio stream player 2D to fade sounds as they move away from the center of the screen. So with your audio stream player attached to whatever the character, the weapon, whatever is going to play the sound, I'll put it under the animation player. In Godot 3, you would have to have one instance of these for each audio channel you would like to play, and you would have to drag and drop the sound. So let me find a WAV file. You would have to drag and drop the sound in the stream, and you could play only one at once. And that's a bit of a pain because from an animation, you would have to create some function call, and to create the functions, for example, on the player or on the audio stream player to swap the sounds kind of manually. And now we don't have to do that anymore. We can create an animation for the character, and I didn't think that this is Godot 3, so 3.1. So there are some bugs, like it didn't import my character's animation from Godot 3.0. I'll create a walk animation in a few seconds. So let's create just on the location. We're going to key insert in Godot. Okay, you zoom on the character, have you go up, key, it's insert, back down to 0. So I'll just duplicate the first key here. Duplicate, and okay. The character moves ridiculously slowly though. I don't have a mouse wheel anymore. What was it? Yeah, I do have this on the tablet though. Okay, and we're going to shorten the animation greatly. Snap to 0.05 increments and have a 0.3 seconds walk cycles. Yeah, does the job. Okay, so we're going to loop that one like that. The animation length, where is it now? Where's the animation length? We are working with the alpha version of Godot 3.1, freshly built from master. It's here, 0.3. Okay, so I'm not, like, I haven't spent a lot of time with this since I make tutorials for Godot 3, but does the job. Okay, autoplay. No, not autoplay, this one. I wanted to loop. Where's the loop icon now? Where's the loop option for the animation? Edit transitions, open inspector, and loop. Okay, a lot of things in Godot 3.1. You have quite a few options and resources now that you can better edit in the inspector. So you've got to get used to that as well. So now looping is an option in there, and we have our looping character. So say we want to attach sounds to that character. In the past, you would have to create a new call method track and manually call methods on wherever you put your sound calls. But now we can create an audio playback track, and we're going to pick the stream that will be animated, so an audio stream player or audio stream player 2D or 3D. I'm going to remove the stream player 2D that I have at the bottom here. And this is the best part. This is where it gets interesting. I want the character to step. So when is the step? It's at 0.3, right? Or well, let's see. But I just have to drag and drop the sounds in the audio stream player. And if I play the animation, there you go. Just plays the sound. So right now, the sound is not randomized. I'm pretty sure, I think there's a way to randomize the sound. I saw that in the docs yesterday. Hold on, we're going to... There you... Yeah, but it's not up to date. Let's go to docs, and English latest. Gonna search for the audio stream player. Nope. I just want... Okay, let's go to the audio category then. Audio streams. And how about... Do you have something on randomizing? Audio stream random pitch. What is that? Hold on. Audio stream random pitch. Wow. Plays audio with random pitch tweaking. It takes an audio stream and a random pitch, randomly varies the pitch on each playback, I guess, but it's not a node. No, it's not available as a node, so it's something that you call from code. All right. So I guess if I sequence sounds through here in the animation player, I don't have this option. I can offset the sound. I can play with the audio. I can move it in time. Okay, I shouldn't do that. Godot. Okay, it's going to crash, probably. How about... Did you crash, my dear? No, it's good. It's back. Does someone know if there's a... Hey, down. 392 down. Thanks for being here. Does anyone know if there's a way to randomize the sounds here? I think not, but I might be missing something. Anyway, the point is, you can play a sound in the animation player now, making it a lot more convenient to manage these animations. So right now, one alternative to what we have here, I have a walk animation on the character, and I may want, let's say I'm a designer and I don't want to use code to randomize the footsteps. And I don't want to use, I'll show you the call method track approach afterwards to randomize the sound on each step. But for now, let's say we want to use the audio clips to work in a visual way, and we want to have different step sounds. And I only have two really, so I just want to sequence this, like alternate them, even if it's going to sound a bit repetitive. I can remove that track, that audio clip track. So let's do that. Where's the button? Now I have add track and remove, right? Yeah, it's fairly unstable still. Okay, it crashed. We're going to have a few crashes. This is a very unstable version of Godot at the moment. No big deal there, as long as we can save along the way. My coffee's getting cold. It's not as good. And by the way, this is for to wrap up the Godot course and move on. Once this is done, we're going to move on to more tutorials for the channel. There's going to be a little focus on the YouTube channel and free content. Do you want a face cam overlay? What's a face cam overlay? Sorry, I'm not sure what that is. Okay, I've got to remake the animation real quick. I'm going to do that now. Thankfully, won't take that much time because it crashed and didn't save. Okay, let's create 1, 2 keys here, and on the second one, body pivot position, going to have you up there. Insert, duplicate the first one, and I do want to change the interpolation for this key, which I do in the inspector now. So it's going to be like that, I think, the easing. Yeah, but what would the overlay be? Actually, I haven't done a lot of streaming because here where I live, it can be a bit tricky to do. Now today there doesn't seem to be anyone around, so that's why I'm doing it. Okay, 0.35 and loop the animation. Oh, it's at 0.35. Okay, makes sense. So I want you to be a bit shorter. 0.3. Yeah, I just don't know what that face cam overlay would be, but gladly. I guess it's about adding a bit of information over the webcam and all. For now, it's fine. These live streams are really casual at the moment. And anyway, I've got all the assets for GD Quest and the types and all ready, so if I need one at some point, it wouldn't take very long to make. But thank you very much. Okay. Going to save this time around and save on a regular basis because I think that it's going to crash quite regularly. Okay. Another approach is to use animation sequencing. So let's see if we can do this from here. I'm going to create a new animation and call it walk with sound. And we're going to add an animation playback track to start with. We're going to it can't animate itself. Okay, so that would be animations then. Okay, so you need a second animation player to do that. But look at that, because this is pretty cool. So this is a feature that you would normally use to create cinematics, cutscenes, but can also use it this way. So I'll add a new animation player. And this is the base animation resources here. On my second animation player, we're going to create new animation walk. So let's say source animations here. And we're going to have our animation player. And I can create an animation playback track, taking my source animations as an input. And I want to insert a key, and my clip is going to be walk here. So I'm going to play the walk animation, loop over it, and set the duration of this animation to my base anim here. So it's just going to trigger this source animation node to play the walk animation. But the interesting thing about that is I can now expand this animation player a little bit. I'm going to zoom out. I can duplicate my walk animation. Can I make it longer? I guess I can Control C, Control V. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that key, make the animation twice as long, and now add a new audio playback track on my animation player here. And yeah, sorry, I need to point it to the sound player, which I haven't added. Audio stream player. Okay. So add an audio track, point to the audio stream player. And we're going to go to audio, sound effects, steps. I'm going to grab these two. Can I drag two? No, one at a time. Okay. So I drag the first one here on the first step, drag the second one on the second step, and woo! There you go. You can create not only cutscenes with that, but you can decide which sounds play at which moment on the animation. So obviously, for steps, you may want a library of, let's say for a given character, 5 different steps or something along those lines, and you want them to play randomly to shuffle in an array. But you can use that trick to sequence sounds and have variations on your animation, right? Hey, Pixana. I was wondering if you could make series like PvP online games. It would be helpful. I mean, this would take a huge amount of time to cover. This is really complex. So you've got to cover networking. You can make a basic tutorial for these kinds of things, but if these are the kinds of projects. If you need tutorials to make them, you don't have the programming skills to make them just yet. And there's a lot of requests like these about MMORPGs or just programming 3D games and all that stuff. You can follow a tutorial step by step to make some super basic project. And if you try to make your game and you don't have the experience, you just won't be able to do it. So you've got to work on your programming skills. Developers solve their own problems all the time. You have to be able to read the reference. You have to be able to do tests and to accept that some of these tests are going to fail. This is the job of a developer, right? And if you have to rely on tutorials to do things, like always, and especially if you can't get started at all without a tutorial on a complex topic, you're not ready to work on it on a real project. So I would recommend, to as soon as possible try to learn the hard way and try to read code. Just like you when you learn a language, you want to speak the language, you want to work in the language. You don't want to work with subtitles all the time, which is kind of what in your mother tongue, which is kind of what tutorials that are step by step do. Yeah, I'm doing a long explanation, but I think it's important because it's something that comes back again and again, and it's important for everyone. That's why I make tutorials the way I do, which is it's not completely beginner friendly, even if I try to strike a balance, but there are gaps in there, and because the bulk of the learning is going to happen where you fill the gaps. Okay, I'll just heat up my coffee. Heat up my coffee, and I'm right next to here because I'm in the kitchen. So. Okay. This is one of the very few advantages of working from the kitchen. Although you could have a microwave in your office, but there you go. I can live stream and heat up coffee at the same time. Okay, so this is one of the biggest improvements in Godot 3.1, and this ability to sequence sounds in the animation also means that you can kind of swap streams more easily on the audio stream player. And who was JTVJ was asking what we are doing here, or saying he doesn't know what we are doing. Working with sound in Godot 3.1, essentially. Should really put that full screen. Okay, let's save as well, because it's going to crash at some point. And I want to double check on the docs now to see what else changed compared to Godot 3. So I'll open an instance of Godot 3 and compare the two documentation. So let's open any project. Do you have any medias to contact? Is it a general question about you're looking for people from the press and all to contact for your games? If so, this is hard, and if I had a relationship with some media, this doesn't mean that you can contact them. Like all websites, YouTubers, whatever, they get bombarded. Do I have any social media account where you can contact me, maybe? If that's the question, here's my Twitter. So let's find audio stream player, and we're going to do a little comparison of Godot 3 and Godot 3.1. And we are good here. Don't need that. So I want to have, this is Godot 3 and this is Godot 3.1. There we go. Do we see any differences in? Nope. Only the layout change. Okay, so no changes in the API. I'm going to close Godot 3 now. Back to Godot 3.1. So you just take a stream. Okay, and the animation player can sequence them. But that's it. That's it. How about audio buses now? So since Godot 3, you have that audio bottom panel here. And this one allows you to route audio as you would do in a music creation program. It's fairly simple. If you have experience making audio, it's fairly simple because it's just a mixer if you want. You have these channels you can route audio to. So we're going to take the music and the sound effects to show you this example. I'm going to work from my player scene for now because it will be a little easier. So I'm going to duplicate my audio stream and I'll call the second one music player, plug in my OGG file. So note for soundtracks, I'm using the OGG format which is compressed, which is, how can I say? The engine has to decompress OGG files, and if you load sound effects on the fly, it's going to be CPU intensive. But for longer chunks of music, you can preload them at the start of the game, and you want to use OGG because of the size, because the wave format is extremely heavy. So a soundtrack like that would be maybe 30 megabytes, like 1 minute something, 30 megabytes of data. And if you use the WAV file and as OGG, it's probably 1 megabyte something right now. So you preload that, Godot will decode the file, load it in memory, as I think it decodes it as the WAV format, like the same kind of raw data. And then it's going to play it back. And for individual sound effects, you want to use the WAV format because this is the raw sound data, so a game engine can just load the file on the fly and play it straight. It's not CPU intensive at all. So with your audio player, I wish we could make the tracks a little wider, but seems like we can't. So you have a set of what are called buses, essentially audio channels to which you can send different audio stream players, like that you can send audio to them, and each will have a list of effects applied to them or not. You have a master bus, which is going to be the final sound that can hear coming out of your speaker. So it's always on the left, and audio programs, it's the same thing. And this one, you will typically just set the sound. Normally, you leave it as 0 dB, but you may want to add a limiter effect. Limiter is going to make it so when the sound is too loud, when all the added sounds from the game is too loud, it's going to say, no, you don't get past the limit, which is the ceiling you set here. It's the 0 dB. This is just a representation of sound at the dB scale, and this is basically when you 0 dB, when you set the volume on your speaker, this corresponds to this volume, which is different based on the power of your speaker, right? But you can, so this is the hardware sound. This is the virtual volume, if you want, inside your computer. This is the maximum you want to output from the game. So the limiter is going to prevent the sound from going over that. Maybe we can we play the music here? Resource, I can. Whoa. Did it crash? No. Okay, so it's playing on the master. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to set the sound. Nah, I don't want to set it up too high though. Yeah. There you go. So I can increase and lower the sound, and with the dB scale, what happens is when I lower the sound below 0 dB, very quickly, minus 24 dB, it might be, in terms of energy, it's a logarithmic scale, so it may be 100 times lower. I think if you remove 10 dB is roughly 10 times lower, and 20 dB is 100 times, right? Roughly. So you really lose audio very quickly. Okay, let's reset the volume to 0. I'll pause the audio file now. So limiter, what this does is if I set the ceiling to minus 20, you don't want to do that, but let's say I set the limit to minus 20. If I go back to my music player here, you can see that even though my volume is at 0 dB, the sound is very faint. It's very low because the limiter is pushing everything down, and there's a soft clip on it, so it's not just because limiters can work in a few ways. One way is it just crops everything that goes past the limit, or it can compress the sound, so it can, the maximum volume, like the spikes that are too high, it will try to softly like lower them, push them down to fit the limits that you set, right? So the master, you generally just want that, just a limiter. And this is really cool, by the way. Now the ability to click the effects and cleanly edit them in the inspector works really well. So you have the ability to soft clip, which is going to it's going to map the sound using a curve, if you want, moving to the maximum, moving to your ceiling or your threshold, I guess. Maybe moving to your threshold, from which the limiter begins to be active. Yeah, 0 dB, and ceiling is the maximum allowed value. Okay, so based on your threshold, it's going to, as you approach the limit, it's going to slowly compress, like push the sound down more and more, push the spikes more and more. All right, first bus, very simple. Now you can create This creates a layout, but I just want to create buses. So add a bus. We're going to call this one music. And we're going to route our music player to that music channel. So you go to the bus property. Yeah, let's see if I can. The layout is not. Let's get the scene there, and the file system. We're going to move you down. Okay, so that we have. They rechanged. For a little while, they had the scene tree and the file system stacked like that. So you had the inspector on the right. This makes you travel quite a bit. When you select a node, go to the inspector. But just for this presentation, let's try this to have more properties here. I want you to stack the inspector to stack with the import tab and the node tab as well. Let's have everyone here. Okay. Just for this live stream. So we're going to send the music player to the music bus. And now when we play the sound, it should play on the music bus, but yep. Why is it not working? Let's close the player scene and try to reopen. Go to the music player again. Okay, mix target. Well, it's going to be center for this one. Let's see. It's going to the music bus, but... Okay, so I guess when I'm playing a sample, it will always play on the master track. Can I preview my buses in the editor? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can. Yeah, so maybe you have to play the game. Let's see. I'll try playing the game. Open the audio tab again. Does it run? What did I do? I must... okay. There was that bug, true. Do I use it? Well. Attack input states. Attack input states. Okay, so states are going to be... Okay. Give me just a second to fix that little bug. I just had a... Because in Godot 3, you could define the same constant twice in enums without getting a bug. And in Godot 3.1, it's not allowed anymore. Okay. Should be good. Compiling takes, like running the scene takes quite a bit of time now. Well, that's fine. Alpha, right? Will it run? Okay. The input actions don't exist, I guess. Class name. Okay, just missing input actions, but doesn't matter too much for now. I want to go to the player script, and we're going to take the music player on ready. So this is a temporary code, but music player.play, I guess. And there we go. We're going to restart the game. I would love for VST support someday. Now I can't see the... Okay, I can't see the music bus playing. Let's try to do this. I'm going to sync the scene and script changes. I'm going to try that, and we're going to try adding an effect live to see if it works. Let's add some. Nah, it doesn't work. So I don't know if it's the routing that doesn't work right now on audio, if it's a bug, or... Okay, I can show you that in Godot 3 instead of Godot 3.1, because really, aside from the UX, this part didn't didn't change. So let's leave that project aside. This is just a scratch Godot 3 project. And Mohammed, I'm answering you in 1 second. I'm just going to launch the project. Okay. This is the final chapter demo for the Godot course. The routing definitely works. I think it's a bug with playing a sample in the editor. Yeah, but even the routing was not active when playing the game. So it may be a bug on the current master alpha. Well, it's a build from yesterday, but... Okay, so Mohammed was asking, I'm going to make game dev workshop with Godot. It's my first time, so what do you think the content should be? If it's your first time, I highly recommend, if you're going to teach Godot to beginners, I highly recommend to go to the docs and to grab the intro game from the Getting Started guide, because you have a full tutorial, a full game. It's been made with beginners in mind. It is your first game here by Chris, and it's very good. It's very good to get people started. Gilles Roudière and a few persons have been giving this as a workshop in a few places. I highly recommend also that you prepare USB keys with Godot for Windows, Mac, Linux for people coming to your event, or prepare Godot on every computer and prepare all the files, like make folders that people can just copy and paste. Because if people have to download and all, you're going to lose, you can waste 1 hour, 30 minutes to 1 hour just getting people to install Godot, launch it. Make sure that everyone has OpenGL 3 if you're going to use Godot 3.0. Yeah, those kinds of things. You want to do the tutorial once yourself, again, before you run the workshop. You always want to prepare. And yeah, besides that, like this will, use the resources that are available. This is going to save you a lot of time. And this tutorial has been used by, followed by a lot of users. It's on YouTube. It's been given as workshops. Chris teaches to kids. He has got a lot of experience. He's a veteran from the game industry. So yeah, there you go. Okay. Now let's work a bit. I've got to do a few fixes here. Let's grab. I'm going to copy the music. Is it still Buddy? Yeah, and in Godot, in Godot 3.0, you can't play the music in the inspector just yet, right? Okay, let's go grab music SFX. We're going to copy the two of you to this project folder. Open in the file manager, my dear. Let's copy all that. All right. All imported, all good. We're going to open the demo and fix the dependency. It's on the music player. Okay, music, Birdie Pong. And the volume's gonna be 0. All right. Now we can save and remove this file. Good coffee. Nothing like good coffee. Okay, you can play in the editor using the playing checkbox. Okay, so that was it. Maybe I should have used that. Okay, it's a little unexpected, but why not? All right, so now we can go back to our audio buses, and we're going to work with Godot 3. So I'm going to add my music bus again, set this bus on the music player. Now if I'm playing, yes, you can see the audio playing on the music player. Why is it shifting towards the left? Okay, whatever. I'll fix that after the stream. So, on my music player, I may want to add an effect. We're rather going to do that on the sound effect. So let's just have a general sound effects bus, and let's say we're going to have our characters, the player again. I'm going to give him some audio stream player and play some sound effects. So step. All right. So we have our player scene, and let's say the player enters a room. I like that. What this doesn't work as I was describing. Hey, I'll fix it after the stream. No. That has nothing to do with that. It's just the music is panning towards the left, so it might just be I may have panned the music towards the left in the audio software in which I made it by accident. That's just that. So we have the step here, and I'm going to send this effects to the sound effects bus. There you can add a sound effect. Let's say the character walks into a room. So I'm going to play the sound. Should be able to hear it, although it's going to be a little faint for you. Okay. Bumping up the sound. Can you hear the step? All right. And let's say the character enters in a room that is supposed to have some echo, in a cathedral, something like that. So you can add an effect like the reverberation to your bus, your sound effects bus, and this is a bit too strong. But let's see, we have the wet sound. The problem is, okay, so we're going to damp. That bug, I forgot about it. There's still, okay. Let's see if I can use touch at least. I'm just going to restart the editor. When you click and drag the combo boxes, you still have that bug where things can get stuck. There we go. Okay, back to the player. Okay, so in my audio bus, I want to set the damping to be pretty high, and I want the room size to be a little smaller, but more importantly, I will lower the wet level. Wet level represents the percentage of the effect that's applied. So that's you're mixing between dry, which is the pure sound that you have without the effect applied, and wet is going to be the effect. And you always mix the two, especially with reverb, to control like the reverb. You layer it on top of the real sound. The problem is if you remove the dry from the sound and you only play the reverb, you get a really mushy result like that. You lose the attack on the sound, so you lose the hit at the start of it. That's why you always have, well, in general, you will keep the dry at 1 and add some wetness to it, but it's also common if you use an audio production program, you're going to lower the dry a little bit, add the wet, so that the output level is roughly the same as the input one. Wow, the Godot's reverb is really strong. The spread might be too high. The problem is it's not visual, so it's a bit inconvenient this way. Let's have the wet really low. Even if I'm dampening the sound to the max and the room size, let's see, 0.2. So the smaller the room, the okay. So if you have never used audio effects, this is a little complicated to get started. But reverb represents the echo of the sounds inside a given space. So sound waves bounce against walls and come back to you. And because sound takes a bit of time to travel through the air and to come back to you, uh, that reverb that you get comes, like the echo comes with a little bit of a delay, and every object in your space is going to create some of that echo. So the walls, the furniture, everything. And depending on the surface, it's going to reflect or absorb more or less energy from the sound waves. Now, the room size in when you have an audio effect like that, the room size is kind of like your reverberation is just like, it's not like a real room filled with lots of things. It's like a 3D mesh if you want, and it's like an empty room. So the sound waves are going to go to the walls and come back to the source. And the larger the room size, the more time they take to travel back and forth, and the wider the echo, the larger the effect will become. The longer the tail of the effect, it will have a much higher duration. Damping is supposed to be the amount of sound that's kind of widens or narrows the stereo image of the reverb tail. Wow, that description is a bit technical, but it's really what the name suggests. When you dampen, one means fully widens. Isn't it the opposite with damping? Okay, so I thought that a damping of 1 would actually dampen the tail of the reverb. Seems it's the opposite here. The spread, let's look at the descriptions, because okay, so the spread is the reflectivity of the room's walls. High pass is a frequency, like a high pass filter, so it's going to cut the basses if you want. And dry and wet is the mix between the source sound and the processed sound that you're going to balance together. Okay, so now it's less a step and more like EDM music, like a small beat, but you get the idea, at least, hopefully. So the interesting part about that is that now we have an extra bus. We can have, when the character enters a given room, we can add reverb to it. And when we play the music, it's still going to be dry, as you'd expect, as it's going through the music bus. Okay, and so you can create as many channels as you want and route the sounds however you'd like. And you can also route one bus to another. For example, I'm going to create a new, so I'll just call this one sounds, and this one is going to be reverb. Okay. And I can take multiple sounds. So let's say you're going to have steps here, and you're going to have a new bus for UI, whatever. And the thing is, you may have different types of sounds in the environment. So you may have the sounds of trees and birds, the sound of wind, and all that stuff. So you can have different channels and effects on each of these channels. And you can then, at the bottom of each channel, you can route it to another bus. And routing always goes from right to left, okay? So the steps, you can only route it to reverb, music, or master. So now our reverb is routed to the master, which goes out to the speakers. And if we take the steps and route them to reverb, we can add another bus. And let's say we're going to have wind, and I'm going to find a wind sound for us real quick. Can route it to reverb as well. And both of these sounds, both of these can have very different effects applied to them, but they will both go through the same reverb effect. So all the sounds that are common to a given space, you can apply the same reverberation to them, which is the natural way to apply reverb. If everything is playing in the same room, you want the same reverb applied to it. Most of the time, I think there are not so many effects to use, but say instead of reverb, I'm going to call this one like, how can I call it? Mashed or squashed, well, low pass, okay? I'm going to create a low pass filter in this case. So delete the reverb effect, and note that my step and wind channels updated to route to that low pass one. I'm going to add, we have an EQ, we're going to use a low pass filter. Low pass lets the basses pass in the sound, and it's going to remove, it's going to cut all the high pitches sounds, and you use that when the character is outside of a room or there's walls separating him from another room in which there's some sound playing. You can this simulates that effect where you mostly hear the basses go through the walls and all, and you can't really hear the like all the mediums and the high frequencies. You can't hear the full voice. So let's say I'm going to actually add that to the music, because you can create an effect with the low pass filter where the character takes a hit, you play some kind of sound like it's shaky or something like that, and with the low pass filter you can simulate, you can dampen the music a little bit, so you can animate all these effects from code, and you can have that effect where it sounds like you took a hit and your head is still a bit shaky, like so. So if you hear now, as I lower that cutoff, now it's cut all the high frequencies, and it's only letting the basses through. I've got to increase. That's what the low pass filter does. The resonance changes the should change the wider the cutoff, amount of boost in the overtones near the cutoff frequency. So it's going to I'm going to show you that in a music program. Hold on, I've got to go back here to stop playing. I'm going to fire up FL Studio. Let's hope it's going to crash Godot, most likely. I forgot about that. Which driver am I using? Oh, it's FL Studio SEO, so should be fine, should be fine. All right, let's fire up an effect so I can show you what's happening. So I'm going to grab the same soundtrack and route it automatically to the first insert and add an, well, I'm going to use this EQ because it's vector for one, and it's very visual in nature. So let's have 3 bands. Yeah, okay. That should be fine. So you're going to be a low pass filter. So this is what low pass does to your frequencies. The range, the horizontal range, represents the frequencies of the sound. And if I play the music, hold on, I'm going to stop my speakers so you don't get the sound twice, and lower this. So now you can see the frequencies in my music, and the low pass filter is going to do this. As I lower it, it's going to cut the frequencies at the top, but softly. You can still see a bit of activity on the right side of the range. Now, if I change that slider, this is what Godot calls the resonance, and this is what this does. As you, well, in the case of FL Studio, if you increase that slider, it's going to flatten, it's going to make the cut stronger. And if you lower it, this is like increasing the resonance in Godot. It's going to create some spike around the cutoff point. And I don't want it to be too high because otherwise it's going to hurt your ears. But sometimes this helps retain some more clarity in the sound, like so. So I'm going to read for you. I can't hear what's happening right now because my speakers are off, but you should hear the difference obviously on your side. So I'm not moving the cutoff point, I'm just moving the resonance slider. Now in Godot, as the feedback is not visual, you have to use your ear only at the moment. But this is what's happening, although the curve, the exact curve that Godot produces might be different. This is an audio production program. This one is Windows only, it's not open source and all, but it's just for visualization purposes. So this, how can I say? This algorithm that they use to create that curve might be different from Godot, because Godot has to apply these effects in real time, and it's a complete game engine. It has to run the game at the same time. So this might be very high quality, and I know Godot might make some trade-offs, right? And with sound in games, you should expect that. Okay, what time is it? Whoa, what? It's been 1 hour? Has it? For how long did we stream? Almost 1 hour? Yay. Pretty close, pretty close. It's 5:30 a.m. Welcome. Yeah. What a good way to start in the morning of Godot. When my face is getting in the way again. Don't hesitate to tell me when the sound is poor, my face gets in the way on the video. All right, what else can we talk about? I think that's it for a really quick tour of the 4:30 a.m. Are you going to bed, or are you waking up? Because waking up at when the stream started around 4 a.m. or before 4 a.m., that's pretty early. That's pretty early. Okay, do you have any questions on audio, quite simply, at this point? And otherwise, let me check what else do we have in the chat. What kind of games should I teach next? So Mohammed is doing a workshop to teach games. And there's just so much to cover. I can't give you a list of games and things to teach in order. The getting started game in Godot is pretty good. Then it depends a lot on your audience, right? I would get people to make games, maybe organize things that are prepare exercises on given systems and all, but it depends on the length of the workshop, the level of the students and all. When I do that for work, when I've done that, going to schools and all, I prepare the workshop for the course. Can the engine play the samples in reverse? That's a very good question. Can you, Godot? Let's see. Let's see, an audio stream. You only have a length here, so you don't have properties. Okay, I'm going to look at the various classes. Audio stream playback. There's nothing in here. Pitch scale, playing autoplay, get playback, seek stop. I don't see anything in Godot 3 to reverse the sounds. And there's no effect as you'd expect. Let's see when you import the sounds now. Loop beginning, loop mode. So you can ping pong the sound first. So play forward, backward, like that. How about in the import tab? Frame normalize. Okay. Max rate. Nope. No. I don't see anything. Related to reverse. Let's see. Or reverse playback, reverse audio. Yeah, because reverse audio. Okay, there's an issue open about it. Pitch scale controls the playing speed. And if you set it to a negative, okay, it's not supported at the moment, it seems. Yeah, you would need two samples, it seems, and manually reverse it. I mean, the use for reverse is probably because you can so easily reverse the sounds and export them with music production software. I think it makes sense to just have, in the very rare cases where you need to reverse the sounds, to just have both. But although I guess playing the sound, if the engine can already ping pong, so it can play the sound in reverse after having it played. Yeah. You've been using Fruity Loops as well. Welcome to the club. Mm. I've tried Alder, the open source music production suite, and it's certainly powerful, but so I don't have time to get into it. Anyway, we wouldn't have time to cover it on the channel, so I'm just sticking to FL Studio is really good. I've played with Bitwig for a little bit, and I love that program, but just sold my license. It was actually a gift, that license, and I sold it because I didn't have time. I barely have time to make music. Too much work and things to study, like Japanese, takes a lot of time. All right, any other questions about sounds? Because I think we kind of went over the basics of the course of 1 hour, quite a few things, but then I would need to prepare some more examples to show you more interesting things, which I'm going to do for tutorials. So this is gonna be tutorials for the course, and now I've tested it on Godot 3.1. I'm actually going to cover the basics here on Godot 3, and then when 3.1 is out, I will make a tutorial about that animation-based sound sequencing. But yeah, I'll at least put one tutorial on the channel, and probably a few that are going to be premium as well. And after that, can't wait to be done with that, because once the few topics remaining for the course are done, the course is going to be done, and we'll be able to focus on the channel for a little while with more free content. That's what that means. Sorry, the sound is so bad. Let's remove the low pass effect and lower the music. Okay, I'm going to stop my speakers as well. Is the sound okay on your side? One of the last things, so right now I'm going to work on a game level. There are things that are broken because I just put everything from the course together, and part of the way the course is made is it's designed so that people can explore individual topics and systems, and you do have, like in a real project, it's often how it works. You may have two people working on different things, and at some point you put things together and you have to find ways to interlock them. And when you program anything of growing complexity, that's how it works. It's not step by step. And that's something I wanted to have in the course, because for developers, it's for intermediate people. It's just for people who have programming foundations, but it's a more realistic way to learn, and it works for a lot of the students. Anyway, we've designed it over time with the Kickstarter backers, right? But the last part of the course shows how to put things together. So how to add a save game, how to add persistent data, and the reality of putting things together in a game can be a bit messy. So there you go. This demo is still a bit mushy, but you do have the ability to save and load games in the final demos, and these transitions that work, you have a continuous music playback, and to achieve that, you actually load and unload levels in the tree by adding and removing nodes. I can show you the code, by the way. You have a change level function, which is going to remove the current level. It keeps the player around, and it's going to load the next level, then place the player on the player spawning point. And I have to add now a little bit of code for the shaking camera to just update its position when you reload the level. But yeah. Okay, so no more audio questions. I guess this closes the stream then. And I'm going to get to work on the demos, although it's going to be lunchtime pretty soon. Yeah. Thank you kindly for having been on the stream. I'm going to do a few more moving forward, but this was a good way for me to explore some of the audio features in Godot 3, Godot 3.1. And yeah, see you in the next one. Have a great Sunday, if it's Sunday, on your side of the world. And that said, be creative. Hold on, the camera's here. Be creative, have fun, and let's see each other on the next one. There'll be a video on tomorrow about the Godot slides presentation system, and then there's a new tutorial coming on Wednesday. Anyway, there's a tutorial coming out every week from now on, consistently. So yeah, see ya, bye bye. Stop the stream.